My name is Amal Nirgadkar. I'm the CEO of Patient Prism. I'm excited to welcome Fred Joel here, who you all know from his two best-selling books, the latest one being Becoming Remarkable. And I really want to talk to him about what's happening in dentistry today. And he's been in the industry for 30 years. And what trends do you see, Fred, that are shaping the industry as we move forward in terms of, practices and growth and where the growth's coming? So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's good to be here, Amal, because we are in a time of pretty dramatic shifts in dentistry, and the two things that I see changing are the difficulty of maintaining a solo practice,
Okay.
and that's one separate side. Coupled with that is it's getting harder and harder to run a fee-for-service practice, a totally fee-for-service practice. These are two trends that have started momentum at 2007, 2008 when there was an economic crash there, but it's continued. And so I'm not saying that you can't do both of those things.
Sure.
I'm just saying, for the most part, I think they're becoming insupportable business models within the next decade.
But what do they do, right? What do solo practitioners do now to survive the onslaught of dental support organizations who are basically hiring 50% of the workforce that's coming out?
First of all, create a remarkable patient experience.
Okay.
Understand that just delivering great clinical dentistry is not even half the battle, because the patient can't understand your clinical skills to any level that you would want them to appreciate, but they appreciate the experience of being a patient. But then also understand you have this surgical suite, which is more expensive than ever now, with
Right.
cone beam and CAD CAM and all of these other things that you're going to be adding, and eventually 3D printing and who knows what else.
Sure.
This is an expensive suite to use 30 hours a week. It's impractical, it's inefficient. So you need to bring in multiple doctors into that facility, and you need to be offering dentistry more hours. You need to be more convenient than ever, which means Saturdays, evenings, things like that. And that the dentists are working, shifting around in those hours so that the patients have the opportunity to come in when they want. And you're maximizing that facility. To me, the most defensible model is you've got 3 GPs in the facility and a couple of specialists, either a couple of days a week in the facility or full time, depending on how busy you are.
And what about marketing, though? I mean, a lot of dentists that you talk to that have been around for many years, they'll say, I don't really need marketing. I'll put up a website and hopefully things will work out. And I have lots of referrals. So how important it is going forward now to engage in all the marketing ideas and techniques that are coming out?
Well, they're challenged because information is out there about them, whether they like it or not. They have Google and Yelp reviews out there on their practice. There are people already looking on social media for what the patient experience is. They're looking on Facebook, they're looking on Instagram to see what it's like to go to that practice. And then they're looking at the website too. I call it the digital triangle, the reviews, the social media, and their website. That needs to be there to reinforce word of mouth, because word of mouth now is the first stage. Somebody says, I love this dentist, and they used to say, okay, great, give me her number. Now it's, okay, great, I'm going to go to their website, I'm going to look at social media. So a dentist has to be keeping up with those. The practice has to have a continuous process of evolving and supporting and adding content to those different media.
And that's what you really need. You need to build a remarkable team, a remarkable patient experience, have a remarkable marketing strategy to really survive if you want to not be a statistic in the next 10 years as a solo practitioner that had the Kodak moment, right?
Yeah.
You would want to basically change.
Well, and you don't feel it, because you see this, the practices will go down 3% one year and 3% the next year. They might come up a little bit, so they think, oh, this was temporary.
Sure.
But it's a steady progression of the profitable part of the practice. And now we're coupling in the fact that what I've experienced with 1-800 Dentists, which is the massive movement towards managed care. Okay, we've got almost 90% of practices in the country accept at least one plan.
Right.
In 2000, everybody was trying to drop all their plans.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the shift in fee-for-service model as well,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of dentists that actually will say, and then most of them are older dentists, that "Yep, I'm only fee-for-service. I don't really care about accepting any insurance." Do new dentists have the luxury of doing that? New dental practices?
They absolutely don't, because they don't have the base of patients, one that is willing to pay full fee for service and doesn't care about using their insurance. And those people are also attracting more word of mouth patients. A new dentist has to build a base of patients. He or she's going to have to build them with some mix of managed care. And many practices, if they're trying to if they want the practice to go and have something sellable in 10 years,
Right.
they're going to have to be refreshing that practice with new patients. And we're seeing that predominantly patients don't, if a practice doesn't accept their plan, they're going to move to one that is.
And even if the procedure required, let's say they need an implant and that costs $6,000, and the insurance maybe, let's say, covers in this case only $2,000, they'll still go to that practice because they still want somebody else to pay for.
No matter what they make. This is also what we found. Is it, you think, oh well, that's people who can't afford dentistry. It's
Sure.
No, we have people who call us all the time, and they're in the $100,000, $150,000 income category. They still want, I want somebody who's going to pay for it.
Sure.
That's what they feel like. They paid for the insurance plan. They want the benefit of that insurance plan. It's not irrational for them to expect that. So they're saying, why is this dentist not accepting some of the coverage here? So it's a big challenge.
So to summarize here, we really are seeing a big tectonic shift in the solo practices all
Yeah.
over the country, where there is a steady decline. We don't see the decline because it's not as much, but over a 10-year period, it might be monumental.
Yeah.
And then there's also a move away from the fee-for-service model. You pretty much have to be in network now in order for patients to be able to come to you, because they won't come to you. Like in the health medical insurance industry, no matter how good of a doctor you are, if you're not in network with the insurance company, they're not going to come see you. And that's happening in dentistry as well.
Yeah, there's a tiny fraction of the population that's looking for concierge medicine and dentistry.
Okay.
But the rest of the population isn't. And so, in summary, we're really looking at this basic reality that you have to change what you're doing. What you're doing as a solo practitioner or as a fee-for-service practice.
Okay.
You have to look at the way the world's changing and have a strategy to deal with that. Don't think you can keep doing the same thing for 10 years and have a sellable practice or even a successful practice. That's really the point. There are things to do that you can strengthen yourself, use strategies to employ, but doing the same thing that you did 10 years ago is not going to work.
These are really important trends for everybody to remember as they move on from 2018 and beyond. So thank you, Fred, for this wonderful discussion.
Thank you, Mo.